Sound of a delicate music box opening, a slightly off-key waltz, fades slightly to become background ambience. Oh, darling, let me tell you, you wouldn't believe. It begins, as all misfortunes do, with a promise. A glistening postcard vision of Paris, all wrought iron and twinkling lights. The Mercure Paris Center Tour Eiffel. It sounds grand, doesn't it? A haven. A little slice of curated perfection in a city built on dreams. Honestly, one expects a certain standard. You see, I come from a place where gray was the dominant hue, where a chipped teacup was a tragedy, and the slightest flicker of beauty was fiercely guarded. My grandmother, bless her soul, she taught me to see the soul in things. So naturally, when one books a room, one doesn't merely expect 4 walls and a bed. One expects a sanctuary. And oh, how cruelly misplaced that expectation was. It started subtly, always does, dose and tea it. Like a slow leak that eventually floods the entire foundation, it began right upon reaching the elevator. Now I am not a demanding person, truly. I tolerate delays, but 20 minutes. 20 precious minutes of my Parisian afternoon evaporated, simply waiting for a mechanism to function. It's not simply about time, sweetie. It's about the message it conveys. A blatant disregard for your very existence. Don't you feel that? It screams, your comfort, your plans mean precisely nothing, and dose and tea that just chill you to the bone. The lobby, it was suffocating. Not in a cozy, hidden-away antique shop kind of way. No, it was a suffocation of neglect. The air hung heavy, thick wasn't tea enough of a word, like a forgotten painting. The Dacre, oh the Dacre, it attempted to whisper elegance but instead shrieked tired. Everything just looked sad. I recall feeling a wistful sadness about it almost immediately. It reminded me of my great-aunt's house, except more commercial. I see you nodding. You understand. It has that subtle, insidious feeling that something is off. A discordant note in a symphony of expectation. My room, oh, don't even get me started. Tiny dose and tea even scratch the surface, dearest. Picture a respectable closet, then subtract half. A postage stamp with a bed. A gilded cage for a heartbroken sparrow. It reeked of something old. Not the comforting old of a cherished antique, no. This was the old of stale cigarette smoke clinging to fabric, of forgotten dreams and lingering disappointments. Like a sad music box. It smelled like Aunt Sophia's house after she accepted the truth about her husband. And the view, the audacity. They advertise an Eiffel Tower view, an illusion. A pathetic sliver of metal peeking between buildings, a tease as cruel as a half-remembered love affair. It was like they were mocking me. A tiny, mocking glimpse of the grandeur I had come to witness, forever out of reach. Isn't tea that just devastating? Which, of course, led to the climate control catastrophe. Imagine, if you will, being draped in a silken gown and then forced to endure a relentless heat, the kind with zero compromise. The air conditioning unit simply didn't work. It wasn't overheating, there was nothing. It didn't even try. When I dared to request assistance, I was offered a fan. A fan. A plastic, whirring mockery of cooling technology and the utterly maddening suggestion to open a window. Darling, are you actually implying I should welcome the sounds of Paris streets and the city's smells into my already despairing sanctuary? Just the thought. I spent the night, drenched in a film of my own perspiration, battling a rising panic. It wasn't just discomfort, you see. It was a loss of control. The primal inability to regulate even the simplest environmental factor. It's a small thing, I know. But a series of small things can unravel even the strongest spirit, can it not? It makes you feel vulnerable. The shower. Oh, the shower, a dripping, sputtering defiance of hygiene. It was
the landscape of businesses surrounding the Mercure Paris Center, Tour Eiffel. It's a disheartening portrait, frankly. A collection of establishments that appear to operate under the assumption that proximity to a famous landmark automatically equates to a free pass on quality and service. It feels predatory. That's the only way to describe it. a calculated extraction of funds from those who, understandably, believe a certain level of experience is guaranteed simply by location. It's as if the Eiffel Tower's glow casts a shadow, not of romance, but of disappointment. Let's begin with the shopping. The center commercial Beaugrenelle, for example. It's presented as Paris' premier shopping center, yet the reality, based on what visitors have shared, is neglected. A veneer of upscale aspirations, concealing a core of indifference. Toilets, a basic human necessity, are frequently reported as being in states of disrepair. Missing seats, broken locks, non-functioning taps. It's not simply about cleanliness. It's about a fundamental lack of care. A silent statement that your comfort is not a priority. It feels as if maintenance requests are filed, then quietly forgotten, the issues allowed to fester as a cost-saving measure. And then there's the matter of tax refunds, a simple process routinely bungled, leaving tourists stranded and out of pocket. It feels deliberate, a casual disregard for international visitors trusting in the system. The reports of rude staff, of items disappearing from purchases, all speak to a systemic problem. A place concerned more with volume than with building any semblance of customer goodwill. There's even a disheartening account of someone being physically escorted out for attempting to enter with a small dog, treated as a criminal for a minor infraction. It's unsettling. Moving on, the establishments that offer leisure and entertainment. Le Sept Lounge, advertised as a place for relaxation, appears to be anything but. Reports consistently highlight aggressively inflated prices, coupled with what is described as subpar service and a general sense of apathy from staff. The shisha, a central offering, is often reported as being poorly prepared, a far cry from the experience one might find elsewhere. It's a classic example of exploiting a captive audience, tourists willing to pay a premium simply for the convenience of location. The language barrier certainly doesn't help, with some guests feeling intentionally dismissed or ignored. It's not merely a matter of cost, it's the principle of being taken advantage of, the feeling of being rapia, as one reviewer described it, a blatant ripoff. It leaves a sour taste. Then there's Relais delentrecote, once lauded, now apparently in decline. The promise of a simple, satisfying meal reduced to long queues, overcooked meat, and disturbingly, unsanitary silverware. The image of a diner finding a hair in their food, then being met with indifference by the staff. It's frankly appalling. Accounts detail the meat arriving inconsistently cooked, portions shrinking, and a pervasive sense of carelessness. The restaurant seems to have become reliant on its reputation, content to churn through tourists without any regard for quality. It's a tragedy, really, to see a once respected establishment descend into this level of mediocrity. The stories of rudeness and dismissive managers only compound the disappointment. I felt a knot in my stomach reading them, a place built on a promise of comfort and flavor, now offering only frustration and regret. Let's talk about Kozy, a place that should offer a comforting start to the day, instead appears to be chaotic. Reports of seating issues, with guests being overlooked despite making reservations, and a general sense of disorganized inefficiency. The food, when it finally arrives, is often underwhelming. Burnt toast, bland dishes, and a distinct lack of attention to detail.
It's a frustrating experience, particularly when you consider the high expectations that accompany a Parisian brunch. A simple meal, meant to be enjoyed, turned into a source of stress and disappointment. The staff, when engaged, appear stressed and unaccommodating, furthering the sense of discontent. It's a disheartening reminder that even the most aesthetically pleasing spaces can be undermined by poor service and subpar quality. And then the nightlife. Le Dupleix, a club that, judging by the reviews, attracts a particularly unpleasant crowd and employs aggressive security staff. Reports of blatant racism, with certain patrons being denied entry while others are waved through, are deeply concerning. The atmosphere appears hostile and unwelcoming, with accounts of bouncers physically shoving guests and engaging in rude behavior. This is not a place for a relaxing evening, it's a potential minefield of unpleasantness. The suggestion that the bar caters to a specific clientele and actively excludes others is frankly unacceptable.
Okay, so I was looking into what's happening around the Mercure Paris Center Tour Eiffel, just seeing what kind of stuff goes on there because it seems nice. But my mom always says things aren't always what they seem, and she's usually right. It's kinda depressing, actually. So businesses around there, a lot of them are small repair places or people offering services like plumbers and stuff. And it's awful, honestly, because apparently some of them aren't real. There was this case with a 93-year-old man, can you believe it? 2 guys pretended to be plumbers and tried to get $10,000 from him, saying there was this huge emergency. Who does that? Seriously. They were arrested, thankfully, before he gave them anything, but imagine the fear he must be felt. Poor man. He probably triple-checked every single person who came to his door after that, even if it was just the postman. And those guys probably just got a slap on the wrist, honestly. Maybe a short sentence, then they'll be out there doing it again to someone else. It's just so wrong. I bet the man became extremely distrustful of anyone offering help. Then there's this other thing. Businesses, especially some of the little shops you see near the Mercure, they sometimes aren't exactly on the up and up. Apparently there was a drug dealer operating in the 15th arrondissement, making almost $1,000 a day. Can you even imagine? He was banned from 5 neighborhoods, which is something, I guess. They're trying to shut down the shops he was using as fronts. Places that looked normal but were actually helping him sell drugs. I bet the people who unknowingly shopped there felt so embarrassed after finding out what was going on under their noses. He probably lost everything, his money, his house, but